Hello, and thank you for joining us today for the International Foundation for Gastrointestinal Disorders, or IFFGD's 2021 virtual advocacy event. Throughout today's program, we're going to focus on advocacy, ensuring that you as an advocate have all the tools and answers that you need to successfully contact Congress. And with us today to really sort of give us a nice base for that is IFFGD's program coordinator, Marissa Lombardi. She's going to discuss a little bit more about how Congress works and help you to understand how that affects you as a constituent or a citizen of the United States and how you can work with your congressional members. Thank you for coming and joining us today, Marissa. Um, can we start maybe by you telling us what does it mean to be an advocate?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be a part of this program and be able to help educate and inform advocates and those interested in advocating for their disease states or others. And to begin, an advocate really is just someone who is passionate about making a difference for the benefit of the larger community, for the benefit beyond themselves. And when someone mentions advocacy, typically they think of advocating to lawmakers, like people are during our virtual advocacy event this year. But advocacy really goes beyond that and begins closer to home. An advocate is someone who sees a need and seeks to fill that need. And often that begins with a personal type need, such as health-related support. And this begins with advocating with healthcare providers. When patients or caregivers really make a point to develop a good conversation with their healthcare team, their healthcare providers, and make sure that all their needs are met so that they can receive proper care and treatment. And while developing that proper care and treatment, often people realize that there are needs to be filled beyond that there is a stopping point in their current treatment or their current understanding, the research that has been done or their education, which tends to tailor patients and caregivers and all community members to then seek to expand those resources. So that support and that need will extend beyond personal needs into advocating to Congress, as Congress is the one who really can help direct and encourage different government agencies and allot funds to ensure that there is current, up-to-date, and improved research, treatment options, and awareness and education available to patients, but also to the larger community, so that those who are impacted by GI illness are able to get the best education they can. But beyond that, many people who do have GI related symptoms may not realize it. So the general public needs to have that proper education so that they understand what the symptoms are and so that they can be understanding and aware of what their loved ones are going through that are impacted by chronic GI illness.
That's so true. That is the progression of advocacy, the breadth of what it covers is something that so many people don't understand. Thank you so much for explaining that so well to us today, Marissa. And as we discuss that sort of breadth of opportunities to advocate, maybe you can maybe hone in and tell us a little bit about what are the key roles of an advocate?
Absolutely. And I will stress on the advocacy to lawmakers and to government agencies, as this is what this event entails and is really trying to educate people on, which in turn goes to the number one role of an advocate when they are talking to their representative or senators, is to educate. They're educating and informing their lawmakers, making them aware as constituents, as members that live in the state or district that is being represented by them. These advocates really let them know what is important close to home. So that way, when these lawmakers go to DC and they are in their committees, they are working in Congress, they are aware of what is most important. They are aware of what is impacting people close to home, of where education is needed, of what diseases are having a significant impact on the population, such as broad diseases like IBS or GERD, or more rare diseases such as SMAS or EOE, different conditions that you may be impacted by and may learn more about during this advocacy program during our Sunday education series. And in addition to educating, as a part of that education to lawmakers, advocates raise awareness for those diseases I just mentioned. And the best way to do that is to share personal stories. Let your senator or representative know exactly what the impact is to you personally, or if you are advocating for someone you care for, or if you are speaking on behalf of a family member or loved one of your view outside of that GI illness. The personal story is one of the biggest roles of an advocate, because that makes all the legislative priorities that are important to you really hit close to home and make a significant impact to legislators. And of course, as I touched on a little bit earlier, improved education is something really important to stress to lawmakers, to let them know that any points that you needed education along your patient journey, any ways that you see a need being filled in your immediate community where education could benefit as a whole. All of these aspects of your knowledge, of your personal story, and your experiences really help you to best be an advocate for whatever the topic or legislative priority is that you wish to advocate for.
Thank you so much for Marissa for that explanation. It really is important that each person's story is heard. But you know, the thing that we hear a lot at IFFGD is why does my individual story, why is that so important? Why I'm one person. My story is probably like everyone else's. Why should I contact Congress? And why is one individual advocate so important? And how do I make an impact in Congress?
Absolutely. That's such a great question. And that stems back to the fact that you're a constituent of the representative or senator that you are talking to. And your voice is very important, as you are the individual that they are representing in Washington, D.C. And getting many voices together creates a critical mass of support. So, as an advocate, especially one participating on behalf of an organization such as IFFGD or any other organization, you're part of an important, coordinated, nationwide grassroots effort. So that means there are many voices coming together at home, from their home states, from their home districts, speaking to their representatives. So even though you may feel that your voice is only one voice, there could be multiple people in your area impacted by that and speaking that as well. And there certainly are many people throughout the country. And our legislators talk to each other, they discuss with each other. So if your legislator brings up that they have heard your personal story about the need for step therapy, legislation reform, or about being impacted by a specific GI illness, and they're a part of a discussion where another legislator has heard that similar story, that engages and improves and increases that conversation. And that unified voice that advocates develop when working on a coordinated effort increases the weight of each other's voices throughout the country. So every person who contacts an office discussing GI needs will remind that congressional office of previous conversations they may have had with other advocates, or may improve, like I said, their discussion with other lawmakers, and just further show the importance and strengthen the needs of everyone advocating for GI illness.
Absolutely. So well said. Thank you, Marissa. Thank you for taking time to really explain to us very clearly the importance of the work that we're doing this week during our advocacy event. Here at IFFGD, we hold an annual advocacy event. It's always important that we continue the conversation, that we do share our individual stories, as Marissa has just explained to us how important that is to make change in the healthcare system in America. Thank you so much for taking that time to really talk with us about how advocacy matters. The rest of this evening's program is going to give you more information how to do exactly what Marissa just talked about. Talking with your legislators is not difficult, but there's a process and how to find out who to talk to. There's more information about how to do those types of things, and we will have more. And then in the beginning of the program, Marissa had touched on other types of advocacy, advocating for yourself, being there for yourself and making sure that you are advocating in your healthcare system and with your family and your friends. And this advocacy event does talk a lot about support resources for you in order to be able to do that. And so thank you for Marissa for talking about those things. And for those of you at home who want to learn more, please look at the entire agenda of our advocacy event for this week. We've got programs Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and hopefully you'll find something of interest or maybe all of it, whatever you want to watch. Please stay tuned and do that. If you missed something that you wish you had seen, it will be available on our IFFGD webpage in its entirety after the program. Please send us your questions. If you have any questions for Marissa about any of the things that she said, or for IFFGD as a whole, advocacy or not, maybe just a GI related question, please contact us. There are several ways that you can do that. If it's regarding advocacy, the most convenient way to do that is to email us at advocacy@iffgd.org. Or if it's a general question, or if you forget to say advocacy, it's very easy. You can always email iffgd@iffgd.org. And that is our general email box. And we will be able to get back to you with any questions that you have about the program, about life, about advocating for yourself, about others, and try to help you navigate this journey that you are on, that we share with you, and want to be a resource for you. Thank you so much for participating in today's advocacy event for 2021. We hope that you enjoyed tonight's programming and that you will join us again, and that you will join us in contacting our congressional offices so that you can be one of those voices that start that conversation that Marissa was talking about, that really get that dialogue going so that we can see real, true change in America in some of these areas that are patient access issues for those of us with GI illness. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope that you'll continue watching tonight's program and join us again tomorrow.